Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
JS Racing. We're in the game.
Gentlemen, start your engine!
JS Racing. We're in the game.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Super Formula 23 Be Open Series right here, live on VSPEED. Brought to you in part by Graham Crackers Racing. No matter if you're searching for speed or a place to race, you found it. Stop by the Graham Crackers Racing Discord server where everybody is welcome. Looking for a team? You're in luck. We are actively recruiting for both of our Super Formula 23 and NASCAR teams. Join by using the link in the description below. And while you're there, don't forget to check out Race Ready 3D's link as well. All thanks to the partnership with SimRacingNation.com for making this all possible for us here on VSPEED. I'm your host, Logan Threlkeld, and back in the production truck this week, we have Bradley Cooper with cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Bradley, you missed a great race last week, but we are now visiting one of my favorite tracks in the world. The Nürburgring Grand Prix opened up in 1984, Nürburgring, Germany, 3.19 miles in length, a little bit of elevation change, but a whole lot of corners for all of the action we could look forward to.
Yeah, this track actually was a portion of the pit factory or some other portion of the racetrack at one point. During the safety crisis, they wanted to bring Formula One back in the 1970s, and they had to kind of revamp this entire racetrack in the 80s, and they've added more to the chicane. There's several technical spots on this racetrack, but there are a lot of high-speed portions as well. and you kind of get that Nürburgring feeling with all the different varieties and elevation changes and different corners. So I think this is going to be one of my favorite races as well as we get set up for what could be a great 22 laps.
Be looking forward to some passing opportunities all over this track as they will arise just about any corner you take here. Broadcasted standings here on your screen. Timothy Freeze Larson in the lead with those 4 wins, has a 31-point advantage over James Byrne. JT Smeet and Yansu Foster, Dan Yang making up the top 5. All of our previous winners up here in the top 5. Lucas Hand, Valerio Tavares, Dennis Branch, Jacob Reed, Rohan Sanier in the top 10. Nadia Mel, Victor Odd, Luis Cachan, Gabriel Martinez, Felipe Silva, I.M. Keeman, Adam Merchant, Felipe Sarkis, Brett Greaves, and Gabriel Hope up here in the top 20. A little bit further back, but anything can happen as we are ready to take the grid. 8 minutes of qualifying, 2 laps have been completed. Let's see who takes home the pole award for today. Starting in P1 is the 2 of James Byrne, rolling off next to the 5 of Rohan Sanier in P2. Row number 2 will be Timothy Freeze Larson starting out in P3 next to the 10 of Victor Odd in 4th. In P5, it's the 4 of Adam Merchant rolling off next to the 9 of Felipe Silva. In 7th, the 3 of Luis Cachan next to the 13 of Ben Ford in P8. Last but not least, in the top 10, it's the 8 of Dan Yang next to the 7 of Lucas Hand.
11th spot going to Stelton Pool, and the number 12, Valerio Fagandes Tavares, is going to start in 12th position. 13th to Brett Greaves. Miguel Fajado is going to start 14th. 15th here as we get ready. Kazarmiski and Roetz going to start 16th. You have Byrne, Jamie Byrne, and Jan Hoffman going to start back in 18th position to round out your field. Set up the grid.
Field for today. Strength of field at 5,225 coming into it, so right around that average that we typically see week by week. Waiting for one more driver to make the grid.
Lucas
we
Hand.
are ready to go at Nürburgring.
Some of these drivers took 3 laps. Some of them stayed out all the way to the end of qualifying. So I think that might play into having this smaller field. Some guys might not be familiar with this place. I don't think Lucas Hand's going to make the grid in time. There he is. Here we go.
Lights will come on, and just as quickly, they will go off. And away we go in Germany. A great start from the inside line. Rohan Sanier immediately passes James Byrne on the inside, at risk of losing that position to Timothy Freeze Larson. Sanier goes wide through turn 1. Right back on track and under fire from James Byrne. Setting up here, coming out of the Mercedes arena. Larson unable to claim any positions through the first couple of corners. It's a scramble behind. Ben Ford up 2 spots already. Victor Odd with a bad start, falling 5 positions from 4th to 9th. Sanier and Larson battling it out side by side. Larson
contact.
gets loose.
I think a little touch there on Larson, and I was wondering, he was trying to get to the front right out of the gate. Now back in traffic, falls all the way back to 8th on that.
Wheel-to-wheel action after that. Larson falls back to the 9th spot. Plenty of racing to go here. 22 laps on the board. Lap time should be right around the 1 minute 30-second bracket. See if anybody can break down into the 1 minute 31s. I think the fastest I've seen so far today was a 1:32. James Byrne with a healthy lead to start this one out. 0.7 of a second up the road from Rohan Sanier. Adam Merchant able to move up to the 3rd spot, gaining 2 positions from the start. Felipe Silva, Ben Ford also up there, 2 and 3 positions gained. So a lot of drive there for that purple number 1 to reclaim that 3rd spot where he started.
Oh,
in
problems
action
in the back. It's
Lucas
Hand.
Hand.
He was late to the
Hand
grid,
is
and
around.
now he's late to lap 1.
Doesn't look like too much damage. No meatball flag displayed for the 7. Just a loss of position here in extra heat in the tires that is not needed. Falling back 7.5 seconds behind the rest of the field. 8 seconds separating from 1st to 17th. Taking a look back here on the VSPEED instant replay at this initial start, let's have a look and see what set Larson back here. Was it contact or was it just loose conditions?
Yeah, from the angle that I saw, Logan, it looked like there was a little bit of wheel rub. And, I mean, he was hot on the back of Senior there, just trying to get around. But I don't know if he just ran him out of track or if they actually touch here.
Right here out of this corner.
Yeah, he just gets loose on his own.
Just a little too loose, little cold on the tires. Tried to push it harder than needed there on corner exit for lap 1. But did a great job to not go off track. Fell back to 9th, has already gained a position back around Horsted and Bull. And there's Lucas Hand getting loose out of turn 16, back to the front straight. He's closing that gap, however, only 5.5 seconds now behind Jan Hoffman. Of course, your race analysis now on the screen. 200 seconds of OTS, otherwise known as your push to pass. 22 laps, auto speed limiter for pit road. What tire is optional? However, taking a look at the radar for today's race, it is very, very unlikely to see any bit of precipitation on the track surface. Local cautions only for our road courses. Taking a look at the battle back here for 7th, Dan Yang. Timothy Fries Larson just behind him, trying to work his way back up through the field. Trying to claim win number 5 so far on the season. Yang just behind Kachan and Ford. So very close to the top 5 already on the recovery effort for the number 1.
You're watching James Burns start to pull away. We've seen that a few times already in SF23 where the leader gets that clean air. He can kind of moderate the entire race. And when you run your own pace, you have clean entries and exits. It's very easy to keep that push to pass in your back pocket, save it for those last couple laps. We've seen Timothy Fries Larson do that, and we've seen James Byrne get a win with it. So it's absolutely possible that Byrne goes out and just dominates this race. And with a smaller field, there's less of a likelihood that we're going to see lap traffic by the end of this. There's a lot of variables that have been taken out, and the competition level gets a little bit tighter. So you're seeing, what we would usually see in the top 10 middle pack. It's migrated its way up here to 2nd, 3rd, and back to 7th. Oh, what a block there by Larson.
Goodness. Larson gets around Yang. Puts the block on him down the front straight into the Mercedes arena once again. Turns 2, 3, and 4. Very difficult portion of this track to navigate. Very low speeds for these high downforce cars. Larson doing a great job to put some distance between himself and the 8 of Yang. Now the race is on to catch up with Luz Kachan and Ben Ford just ahead of him. Felipe Silva also right there in that equation. It's a little bit more of a gap up to the top 3, 1.9 seconds separating 3rd and 4th place. James Byrne, Adam Merchant, Rohan Senior still holding on to those top 3 positions.
Question in the chat there from Misfit Productions. Push to pass indicator. Good answer there on site. It was light. T-light. But yeah, you beat me to it. These guys are running an inertia system. It's capturing all that energy, and then they use it for a sudden burst of speed. Now, when you're using this, you lose kind of some of that downforce on the car, and it gets a little squirrely, but it does help with overtaking. Because these cars are so aero-dependent, it gets rather difficult without some slipstream to actually complete a pass.
You were just talking very recently about the utilization of the push to pass that's available. Only 200 seconds. And unlike most times, we've now seen James Byrne burn almost 40 seconds from the lead here.
Yeah.
Of that push to pass. So that's a very odd way, interesting way rather, of going about the usage of the OTS. So we've got wheel-to-wheel action here. Felipe Silva, Ben Ford. Silva challenged around the outside.
Silva made a little mistake there, I think.
Wheels under it there, yeah.
Oh, and
Larson
he gets
getting close.
He almost went 3 wide there for a moment. And this is coming up on turn 8. And, you know, Larson's already in this recovery mode. He started in 3rd position, trying to get back up there. He knows if he's not past these cars and at least in the top 3 before we're at the halfway point, the likelihood of him getting this win, Byrne could completely run away. He's already 1.3. Is that a Merchant that's catching up to him a little bit last time by? Even with the push to pass used by Byrne, Merchant was about half a second faster.
And only 7 seconds utilized on the OTS for Merchant. So about a 30-second advantage for the number 4 running P2. Rohan Sneer is down to 156 seconds remaining. A little bit of a connection issue there for the 5 running P3. All the action right now just outside of the top 5. Larson still trying to crack his way back into it. Taking a look back here on the VSPEED instant replay. The push of Dan Yang out wide. That is the 3 of Louis Kachan, and contact made, sending Kachan around. Keeps him off the racing surface. Oh, that is the 10. Apologize. So the 10 of Odd falls back to the 16th position once he regains momentum on the track surface. Could have been a whole lot worse. Lucas Hand on his recovery effort has made it around the 17 of Jan Hoffman. So back to 17th for the 7. And still
Hoffman,
7 positions down from where he started.
Hoffman is struggling right now in this top split, and it's probably a good 3 seconds off the pace of the lead pack. You know, we're running 135.5 right now. Hoffman's at a 138.4. So struggles here for the 17. Is about 30 seconds back from the lead now. 11 seconds back from Lucas Hand, who had the spin on lap 1. And Jamie Byrne is being caught right now by that 7 car. But you're looking across your top 5. It's names that we're familiar with. But usually when Timothy Freeze Larson's on this racetrack, he's ahead of all of them. So I like this. I like that Larson's going to have to recover and push hard. I think that makes for a better show, but I don't like it for him. He's trying to go for win number 5, and we've talked to him a lot up here in the booth. He's a great dude. He knows his stuff. And it's a tall order to ask anybody, no matter the I rating, to recover that far.
I really thought he had a great setup there on Felipe Silva down into turn 1. Utilizing that slipstream on the inside of the corner, shot out to the outside for the entry. But a great drive through turn 1 and the Mercedes arena for Felipe Silva to keep it ahead of the number 1 right now, holding on to that 5th place spot for the time being. Louis Kachan right behind Larson, applying pressure. So Larson on attack and defense right now on lap 7. Shot around the outside for the number 1. Can he make it stick? It appears that he will.
Yeah, that's how you do it.
Still, there it is. There's the clear.
That's how you do it right there. He carried that momentum up to the outside, caught him off guard. Silva couldn't defend at all. It happened so quickly. And they compare these drivers to fighter pilots in real life. With those kind of reflexes, that kind of momentum, you have to make those kind of moves in order to overtake. You have to be lightning quick. We're watching the lead dwindle down now to 0.6 of a second, Logan. And I think James Byrne might be in trouble. He's starting to burn more and more of that OTS, and I think he's on borrowed time. And that's getting gang around. There's 3 cars involved.
It's Louis Kachan to start it off. That was contact with Felipe Silva. They were side by side. And then Dan Yang gets wrapped up in it just a little bit too close to make an effort to avoid this.
Yeah, and
Hops over the wing there and knocks his off as well.
I think that's just a turn that you don't want to be side by side in. Low downforce corners like that. The drive off's just not there. It's already a tight portion of the racetrack. The likelihood of you cutting someone off. Let's see if we can get one more angle at this from the blimp camera. You can see how tight this part of the racetrack gets. He gets to the right-hand side, and there's Larson with a break, and yeah, it's just a really tight portion. Good avoidance and awareness by these other guys behind this, though, to avoid that.
The 11 of Brett Greaves, he was able to stay clear of it. I believe the 12 of Horace Stettenpool got around it just fine as well. Stettenpool now up to the 6th position. We talked about, seeing a lot of these familiar names up at the front of the field. Stettenpool, the first time, Steltenpool rather. I keep missing that L in there.
Yeah.
First time I've seen
I messed
that
it up in the grid too. It's
on this Saturday top split race, but doing a great job holding their own up here. Best lap so far, 136.101, so still a little off the pace of the top 3.
There's a pass for the lead. Crossover. Oh, he shot it out wide. Merchant had it, and he overshot the exit of the corner. He's going to have to go back to the drawing board. He lost about half a second there.
Still has the pace. We've seen it already. That gap was up to a second. Now a half second after that mistake. I think it'll come down to just picking out a better spot on the track to try to attempt that pass again. But Adam Merchant has the speed to get back underneath the rear wing there of James Byrne. Still with a 30-second advantage of OTS over the number 2.
JT Smeaton, winner at Interlagos in the chat. Yeah, that's not a place to go side by side. So I wasn't totally off on that call. It just doesn't seem like a corner you would want to overtake, but I think it was also not his choice. He thought maybe he could clear before they got to that point. And I think with Larson kind of braking a little bit early, it might have thrown his line off. He felt like he needed to follow the one car. That's another part too that we don't really talk about too much is how you get tunnel vision in these cars. Sometimes, especially with that bar across the top of the driver, it's the peripheral vision's not quite there in the center, and you're kind of following the guy in front of you.
Tunnel vision could certainly be at play. I've found a lot of the time in the practice sessions I like to join in and get an idea as to how these cars are operating on these tracks. That bar in the center that you're referring to, Bradley, for the halo there, it's you almost completely forget about it as a driver. It's almost non-existent as long as you're looking at the right portions of the track. It's quite an oddity to be sitting in the cockpit of one of these cars.
Weird comparison to this, if you're ready.
Let's hear it.
So, I don't know if you're aware of this or not, but you can physically see your nose all the time. Your brain ignores it. So I think that's what's happening. You're seeing that, and your brain's deleting it.
Yeah, my brain tends to delete quite a few things I see right in front of me for the most part. But right now we've got some heated battles. Jamie Byrne starting to catch up to Gerhard Rowitz for the 12th position, a little bit further back. Some separation through the rest of the field. A lot of 1 second or more differences between these drivers. Archer Kazimierski right around that 1 second to Lucas Hand for P10. So the battle for the lead, Adam Merchant, James Byrne. And the battle for 12th, Gerhard Rowitz and Jamie Byrne are the closest on the field at the current moment. Timothy Freeze Larson even 1.8 seconds behind the 4th place driver, Ben Ford, at the time being. Ford with an advantage on the OTS here by about 15 seconds.
Oh, for the lead's heating back up. I know they're loving it here in the chat. Back side by side again. Same corner. He tried it again on the overtake, got to the outside, overshot a little bit, but this time he's going to hang with him.
So much better drive through turn 1, loses some ground there in turn 3. Like he was setting up to take a look to the inside, had to get harder on the brakes. The window of opportunity didn't quite open up wide enough. So Merchant falls back to another 0.4 of a second difference to James Byrne. He keeps using that OTS down the front straight, it seems, for the number 4. I think if he can just get up underneath that rear wing here, apply some pressure on James Byrne for a couple laps.
This isn't where you want to do that. I don't think that was going to work.
It's not a horrible spot to take a look, but the lunge inside just didn't quite get there.
I just want to know what it looked like on the other side. So the other side of this is you have to premeditate every pass you make. You have to know what corner's coming up next, because if you don't complete that pass, you see what happened earlier where we went through that 90-degree left and right hand in that chicane, and it sets you up for a bad exit. And if you're not prepared for that, as we see another attempt, this time hanging, he's absolutely going to try to make that pass in turn one. He wants it.
It definitely seems to be the favorited spot for Adam Merchant. Stays a whole lot closer to the number 2. Back a little bit further, taking another look at this battle between Rowitz and Byrne. Jamie Byrne holding off on the braking zone a little bit later than Rowitz, but loses some ground doing so. Just to, put on display some of the speed that we're seeing from our top 3 drivers, this battle is about 26 seconds behind our leaders.
Yeah. That's pretty far off. It's amazing to me how quickly this field spreads out. We're just past the halfway mark, and already you're talking about almost the length of the racetrack for Dan Gang, who had damage and got the front splitter busted up on that car. He's still able to turn a decent lap time. Last time by, a 134. So I think maybe the iRacing gods put that front nose back on that car. But still, it's the same thing we saw earlier with Hand and a few others. It's such a long recovery. I don't think that you're going to be able to salvage the day. You're just going to have to pray for attrition. And speaking of that, we've had Victor Odd and Kachan also leave the session.
Oh,
so
the battle for the lead. Merchant took another dive to the inside. James Byrne with the crossover once again. Merchant really pressing for that pass into turn 1.
He's going to have to find a different place to make this move, Logan. It's so obvious that's where he wants to pass. He's going to have to find another place he's comfortable with on the racetrack and catch Byrne off guard, because he's ready for it every time. He's defended and crossed it over twice now.
Even venture to say that's attempt number 3 down into turn 1 that Merchant has been able to cross over, and the subsequent laps here as well. He's able to hold off around the outside, setting up for the inside of turn 2 and 3. Of course, on the outside, if he's not quite clear for turn 4. But just behind them, this battle for the lead is allowing the 5 of Rohan Sanir to start catching up to them. So we have just a few more laps of this heated back and forth between Merchant and Byrne. That this could very easily turn into a 3-car battle for the lead.
Another place that I don't... Oh, man. That, okay, was not what I thought he would try. Logan, I don't know. I think Adam Merchant's just trying anything he can at this point.
JT Smeet with the comment of the century. Adam, lock in. That's exactly what he needs to do here. Holding off on the braking zone. Makes the turn 1 entry that time.
This is part of the track where we saw things go wrong earlier. And they went side by side again. So I guess that was behind Adam. He didn't see it go wrong for those guys. He's going to try it anyway.
Like even maybe a little bit of wheel contact, but it didn't upset either one of those drivers. But at some point you have to think, Bradley, if Merchant keeps the pressure applied as well as he has, does James Byrne make a mistake? He does come into this as the number 2 rated driver in the session. So you would have to think that the mental fortitude behind that steering wheel has to be a little bit more solid than anticipated.
Here's the other part.
Keep trying it.
You got Rohan Sanir coming up the back here just within half a second there for a moment. So even if he is completely applying pressure, if Merchant's pushing Byrne, he needs to push him a little harder, because they've given up 2 seconds in these last 10 laps. And it's going to be a 3-way battle for the lead. Another attempt here.
Same spot. Side by side. The inside line prevails. James Byrne gets a much better drive off. And now Merchant under fire from Rohan Sanier. Will Sanier take a look to the inside? Merchant goes down to block it. It actually allows Sanier to get around. He's going to let Rohan have a chance at P1.
Yeah, I think he's going to allow Sanier to maybe punch a hole and find a weak spot. But if these guys keep battling, there's somebody else creeping into this picture. And Smeaton's still on point here in the chat. You're watching this dwindle down for 4th and 5th place. So 2 more drivers are about to add to this lead battle. And that's because of all the stabs that you saw Merchant take on Byrne. They've lost focus of, hey, there's still 10, 12 other guys that have a chance at this.
Larson last time by with a 134.588. James Byrne with 135.492, so nearly a second gained on the leader. Ron Sneer a 134.882, so still just a little bit slower than Larson. It's a 1.5 second drive up the road for the number 1 to get back to this battle for the top 3. Ben Ford not far behind as well. The 13 machine running P5, only a second behind Larson at this time.
Ford actually got overtaken. He was running in the 4th position. It's been a solid top 5 day, and he has about 8 seconds over Stelton Pool. So I think for Ben Ford, this is a solid evening, solid afternoon here at Nürburgring. And I think a top 5 at Germany is an accomplishment.
Out of turn 16, back down the front straight to start lap 16. Byrne, Sanier, Merchant, Larson, Ford, your top 5. Stelton Pool, Greaves, Hand, Fachado, Kazimirski, making up the back half of the top 10. Silva Rowitz, Jamie Byrne, Valerio Tavares, Yang, and Hoffman still on the track. Louis Cachon, Victor Odd, our first retirees of today's events, are only 2 out of our 18-car field. Still everybody on the lead lap as well.
This chat is always fun to read. I don't know if you have that up all the time or not, Logan, but it's always a good time.
Yeah, I typically do. I don't get to keep up with it the entire race, but I appreciate you drawing attention to it because that is a well-written comment from Major Odd. Oh, goodness gracious.
And it's kind of went stagnant up here in the top 3. I don't know if they're shaping up for maybe the last 2 or 3 laps like we've seen before, but it's quieted down quite a bit. We saw the stab 1, 2, 3 from Merchant. Sanier gets around and possibly a slowdown, as was mentioned in the chat. But now it's quieted down. And I think right now it's let's save as much as we can tire-wise. Keep that push to pass in the back pocket, and we'll take a stab at it here with 3 to go.
Larson.
They realized Larson was coming.
Yeah, Larson was on the push to pass there just about 50 seconds ago or so.
Merchant back around.
Merchant wants to attack James Byrne again here. Wasn't happy with Rohan Sanier not able to catch up to the number 2. Reclaiming that 2nd place spot. Larson now within a second of Sanier. 2 seconds behind James Byrne. 120 seconds remaining on the push to pass. As it runs in your top 4 for the push to pass, it's 132 seconds for Byrne, 138 for Merchant, 106 for Sanier, 120 for Larson. 192 still in the tank for Ben Ford.
Yeah.
So he's got a lot of opportunity here in the next 6 laps.
Yep.
5.5 laps, rather, to catch up to the top 4 running right now.
I would start pressing that button. Maybe use 10 or 12 seconds if you can. See no harm in it, especially if he's aware of it. I know a lot of these drivers run telemetry and overlays that they can see that, but some guys don't have that luxury. If he is aware of that situation, it's absolutely not going to hurt him to at least use it for a lap or 2 here. Maybe close that gap up, because this top 4 is going to start battling, and you want to be there when they do. could absolutely lead to a top 3. A podium finish would be great for Ford.
5 to go here at Nürburgring. James Byrne just off the rear wing is the Ford Merchant once again starting to close that gap.
That would be, if I'm James Byrne right now, I'd be sweating. I mean, not only do you have Adam Merchant the whole race, but Sanier's going to get probably close to this battle. He's kind of that shark in the water right now. There's blood out there. And then you have Larson, who is notorious for recovering on these races and coming back when you least expect it, or dominating once he gets to the lead and just pulling away. So, yeah, I'd absolutely, the nerves got to be high right now for Byrne.
Ice in the veins for Timothy Freeze Larson as he's inching closer and closer through each corner. The dirty air now at play for the number 1. I would expect to see that push to pass activated coming down the front straight and a look to the inside for turn 1. Again, whenever it comes to the OTS, you always have that 100 seconds in cooldown as well. So these drivers up here now have to focus on when to activate that. Larson setting up for the outside.
There it is.
There's the pass for P3 around Sanier. A little bit of OTS used there. Only 7 seconds for Larson. A quick extra boost out of turn 16 to get around the number 5 machine is all he needed. Now how much will it take to get around the top 2? The advantage in favor of Byrne and Merchant, about even on the OTS. Larson about 20 seconds less.
Yeah, you got to get into this slipstream. You got to get as close as you can on these straightaways and try to save as much of that OTS as you can. Larson's doing a fantastic job off these exits of shaving just a 10th here, a 10th there, and I think when we shape up to the front straightaway, he's going to be in a prime situation. You see, he's pulling draft here with the 4 car, and they're going to start battling, so that's going to help Larson even more.
Just took a look. Couldn't get the car to the outside. He's going to take a look to the inside, down the short straightaway.
This could go wrong.
Outside, side by side.
Yeah, it did.
Through the grass.
Off track. Does he get a slowdown penalty for that? He has the lead for now, but is there a slowdown? Yes, I think so.
Takes it to the inside, still full throttle for Adam Merchant. James Byrne does get back around. Larson looking for the outside.
Contact with Larson
between Larson and Merchant.
He locked up the front tires. That might put damage on the 1 car, and they're going to lose a ton of ground. Meatball flag for the 1. That's going to be all she wrote for Larson.
Rohan Sanier, just like you said, a shark in the water. Opportunity arises. He moves up to P2 with Adam Merchant. Timothy Freeze Larson falling back. Ben Ford will make his way around the number 1 machine here. As soon as he has an opportunity, or when Larson comes down pit road. I'm not seeing the meatball flag displayed for the number 1.
I'm seeing a black flag for it.
Adam Merchant makes another mistake. That allows Ben Ford to get around. So Ford will likely come away with a podium finish here.
I think Larson is going to get a podium or a meatball and have to come down pit road. So Ben Ford, yeah, like you said, is going to get this podium finish. And Adam Merchant has a little bit of damage, so I don't think he's a factor anymore.
Merchant falling out of the equation here very, very quickly. Has enough room over Stelton Pool, though. 8.5 seconds here. Should still be able to come away with a top 5 finish. Larson bypasses the pit road entrance. He'll continue on track with that black flag on display.
I think he's just proven a point now. He says, even though you beat my car up, I'm still going to finish ahead of you until the iRacing gods kick me out, or it lets me finish. I don't know. My telemetry is either broken but I see Chris Larson with a black flag right now.
Doing the same on my end of things here. Wish I had a clue as to why.
So all I can come up with is that there is damage, and iRacing's telling me he has to pit. But if there's enough time, and I know with a meatball flag you can turn a few laps, but ultimately in our finishing order with that black flag, he's going to get thrown to the tail end of the field, so it doesn't matter. He's, I think, just proving a point right now.
Looking back through the race control notes as well, it does say a black flag for Timothy Freeze-Larson, and then about 30 seconds later, a meatball flag for Timothy Freeze-Larson.
Yeah.
But we're still not displaying that meatball flag. Not entirely sure what's happening here on the telemetry, but Ben Ford gets around for P3. James Byrne starting to make some headway, a little bit more of an advantage, 1.1 seconds over Sanier, and a 40-second advantage on the OTS. It is white flag out in Germany. That OTS will remain on for the entirety of this lap until these drivers run out. And a 1:33.980 last time by for the 2 machine, in the lead with the fastest lap of the session by about 0.2 over Rohan Sanier. Byrne looking to pick up that win.
His second one. Have to go back to Mugello.
Exactly what I was about to say. Race winner at Mugello was James Byrne. Number 2 on the board here for Nürburgring. Only a few more corners to go until he claims that crown.
Yeah, he's got pushed to pass left. I think he's got it locked up here.
Rohan Sanier completely out of OTS.
Might as well use the last 15. Big gap there. He pulled 0.2 through that section. Just 3 corners left. He's got it.
Coming through turn 16 for the last time tonight, James Byrne will be victorious in Germany. The number 2 taking home win number 2 on the season.
And Ben Ford with a podium. How about that?
Fantastic drive for Ford, gaining 5 positions from the start of the race, as well as Horace Steltenpool up 5 positions. A couple drivers up 5 positions. Brett Grease, Miguel Fachado, Archer Kazimirski, and Jamie Byrne.
Now, there is something going on here with telemetry, and we'll have to make sure that this is official. But it is holding the position for Larson in 4th. Right now.
We'll have to see what it says once all these active drivers cross the line. Dan Yang, Jan Hoffman, the last 2 to cross the line here. See if that will update for us. Hoffman in the final couple of corners here. Quick chicane. Down to turn 16.
Hoffman learned a lot here in this run. Got the lap times down to 1:36, so that's about 2-3 seconds faster than he was at the beginning of this race. And there it is. The black flag's going to throw Larson down. So our timing and scoring is refreshing now. Back to 13th as of right now, unofficial results. James Byrne, that is official. What a run.
Take it back here on the VSPEED instant replay.
I think I want to go back to that contact. This is where it went wrong. We're about to have a 4-way battle for the lead. And just a lock up there. I don't know if there was contact, but Merchant gets in to Larson. And then Ben Ford's just there to pounce once those cars got damaged. He did what he needed to do, and I want to say Ford still had over 100 seconds of push to pass at this point.
Ford still had, the last I checked, was 192 seconds of push to pass, so not much usage through the event, but to come away with a P3 finish, right time, right place for the number 13. Nothing wrong with that by any means in my eyes there, Bradley, but what do you say we send it to a quick commercial break? We'll allow these drivers to jump in the Discord for their interviews. We'll be right back with our post-race show. And of course, results of our Super Formula 23 B Open Series here. We'll be right back, everybody.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
JS Racing. We're in the game.
Gentlemen, start your engine!
JS Racing. We're in the game.
Welcome back live here at Nürburgring, where we have concluded 22 laps in a four-way battle for the lead that went wrong. Contact between Adam Merchant and the recovery from Timothy Freeze Larson, who ends up falling out of the top three. But he went out there and finished in the fourth position of unofficially, but falls back to 13th. Welcome back to our coverage. Logan Threlkeld, and I'm Bradley Cooper. Logan, fantastic race. Again, the recovery from Larson, I thought we were shaping up to see one of the best highlight reels that we've had in a long time here on VSPEED.
A four-way battle for the lead was coming to fruition, but unfortunately taken away from us by that contact. But let's take a look at our official race results. We saw it live. The two of James Byrne able to defend, led every single lap of today's event, coming home victorious for the second time this season. Mark it on the calendar, Mugello and Nürburgring. Rohan Sneer with a close second place finish, just 1.6 seconds behind. The 5 takes home P2, with Ben Ford wrapping up our podium here in the 13 machine after gaining 5 positions on today's event. Adam Merchant in the 4 luckily did not pick up a meatball flag from that contact, will take home P4 with Horst Stelton Pool. A new cover today, the 12, up 6 spots, takes home 5th. The 7 of Lucas Hand will round out here in 6th, with Brett Greaves in 7th. Miguel Fachado in the 16, taking home 8th, with Archer Kazimirski in 9th. Last but not least, in the top 10, the 9 of Felipe Silva.
Whoa, we glossed over that Lucas Hand. I mean, he was outside. I think he was in last place at one point in this race.
He indeed was. That was the first driver that had an incident on the track, fell all the way back to 18th, but the recovery effort was immense and still gaining 4 positions from where he started on the night.
And also want to page out to Rohan Sanier and Ben Ford. If you don't have the information for post-race interviews, there is an opportunity for podium finishers. So you can check out simracingnation.com. You can check out their Discord and get in here on the VSPEED Discord. That information is out there. So, you know, when these guys get the opportunity to come up, I know they always want to talk to us. We always want to talk to them. So if they don't have that information, I feel obligated to let them know. But there's Jamie Byrne getting 11th position here tonight after starting in 17th. Then you have Roetz going to finish in 12th. Fries Larson falls all the way back to 13th with that meatball flag. Then you have Tavares in the 14th position, and then the cars that had problems here. Dan Gang stayed on the racetrack, does end up finishing the race, but a lot of damage there. The front nose pretty much ripped off that car. Jan Hoffman, who learned a lot, I think, through this race and ends up picking up 2 spots, started back in 18th, but eventually did shave about 3 seconds off the lap time from where he began. He'll end up 16th position. It's Kachan going to finish in 17th off the track. Victor Odd was in the chat, and with the cheeky little stab there at some of these guys. Unfortunate, though, for Victor Odd. He definitely had the potential for a top 5 here today, finishes 18th.
Well, that'll move us to the one driver who has made their way down to the waiting room. We're going to bring up our race winner. That's going to be James Byrne joining us here in the VSPEED booth. James, you got a copy. It's Logan and Bradley.
Copy.
Well, a fantastic run from you. A whole lot of heat all over that rear wing as you had Adam Merchant diving into turn 1 for multiple laps, not just 1 or 2. It was about 5, 6, 7 laps where he took an attempt to the inside. Were you just keeping an eye on the rearview mirror there, or what was the thought process in, keeping you successful of keeping that 4 at bay?
I was praying, I guess, hoping and praying. I hope you guys were watching that the whole way because it was quite a race. But yeah, I just kept hoping that Adam would sail past me and not collect me.
We most certainly were keeping an eye on it for the majority of this. That battle there for the race lead, it never seemed to subside, and then you threw in Rohan Sanier and, of course, Timothy Fries Larson able to recover and get close to you guys. Now, I don't know, Bradley, did you have anything to ask for James Byrne?
Yeah, you were mentioning that you were hoping we were watching that, and I think I was kind of feeling, I was living vicariously through you. Were you sweating? Because I know the pressure was on from lap 1, and then, you saw 2-3 attempts from the 4. Then Sanier gets around. Were you nervous during this race? I know you had to defend.
Yeah, I was quite nervous, and I definitely did sweat a bit. I was just hoping it all fell my way, to be honest. Like, each time he tried to pass me, and he was a bit pushy about it. And in these cases, net code, a lockup, a little spin can ruin it all. So I'm happy it all worked out in the end.
We actually saw that just behind you with the contact between Larson and Merchant, and then you just kind of set sail, saved that push to pass. Fantastic drive.
Thank you very much.
Now, you come into Nürburgring, you have great success here, of course, taking home the win. We take it next week out to Monza, another one of my favorite tracks in the world. How are you feeling after the momentum you've picked up here in Germany to take it to that track?
I'm looking forward to it. Monza's a fairly fun track, not from driving, but from racing, because it always leads to close battles, somewhat like this, right, with the long straights and the draft. So it will be interesting, and there'll be a big turnout too. This week, I think, was pretty decent. It was a bit more than I expected, and Monza might get even up to 4 splits. So it'll be fun.
Well, we're looking forward to it up here from the perspective of the booth. James Byrne, congratulations on your win here today. Who do you have to say thanks to or shout out that might be watching at home?
A Merchant. He made it very entertaining and fun, and he didn't take me out.
Short, sweet, simple. I like it. congratulations once again. We'll catch up with you next week in Italy.
Thank you, guys.
Well, Bradley, we don't have our other top two finishers, but of course, Rohan Sanir coming home in P2 with Ben Ford. An excellent drive on display from the 13 machine. Looking back at today's event, we had action from start to finish. I feel like that's a broken record at this point. It's action from start to finish just about every single week, at least somewhere in the field. What were your thoughts about today's event?
Well, I'll scratch the record and keep saying that this was potentially one of the highlight reels we could have had. We got robbed again. I'm waiting for that four-way battle for the lead for the last 4 laps, and we get close. And the competition level continues to improve here in SF23. Of course, catching all the races here live at 3:30 in the afternoon. I think that's helped bring in more splits. And when we go on to the next one, Monza's going to be a fun place. I know that these drivers are prepared for it. We've got a lot of practice. I'm looking forward to it.
I myself am too, most certainly. And of course, today providing us 3 splits of racing action in this time sector. So a great showing of participation here for the Super Formula 23B Open Series on these Saturday afternoons. Love being a part of it. Looking forward to the next 4 races. And of course, don't forget to check out Graham Crackers Racing down in the description below, as well as Race Ready 3D, and of course, SimRacingNation.com. It's been a wonderful afternoon spending time with everybody at home. Hope you enjoyed the show. If you did, please like and subscribe so you never miss another race. For everybody behind the scenes at VSPEED, Adam Baker, Morgan Cook, Eddie Smith, of course, our producer, Bradley Cooper, with those cameras provided by Dougie Beard. My name's Logan Threlkeld. Have a great rest of your weekend, and we will see you all in Italy from Monza.